With the death of Pope Francis announced by the Vatican on Monday, the Roman Catholic Church will begin elaborate rituals steeped in tradition that mark the end of one papacy and lead to the start of the next. Most are governed by a constitution known as Universi Dominici Gregis, translated as of the Lord's whole flock, approved by Pope John Paul II in 1996 and revised by Pope Benedict XVI in 2007 and 2013. A cardinal known as Camerlengo Chamberlain, currently Irish-American Cardinal Kevin Farrell, will run the ordinary affairs of the nearly 1.4 billion member Roman Catholic Church during the period known as sede vacante or empty chair. He officially confirms the Pope's death, a simple matter these days involving a doctor and a death certificate. Until sometime in the 20th century, this was ritually done by tapping a silver hammer on the Pope's forehead 3 times. The Camerlengo and 3 assistants, chosen from among cardinals under 80 years of age, known as cardinal electors, decide when the Pope's body is to be taken into St. Peter's Basilica for the public to pay their respects. They also make sure the Pope's fisherman's ring and his lead seal are broken so they cannot be used by anyone else. No autopsy is performed. The Camerlengo locks and seals the Pope's personal residence. In the past, this was in apartments in the Apostolic Palace, but Francis lived in a small suite in the Vatican guest house known as Santa Marta. The Camerlengo and the other cardinals cannot make major decisions affecting the Church or change its teachings. The heads of most Vatican departments resign until the new Pope confirms or replaces them. Mourning rites last 9 days, with the date of the funeral and burial to be decided by the cardinals. Universi Dominici Gregis says they should start between the 4th and 6th day after his death. Pope Francis, who shunned much of the pomp and privilege of leading the global Catholic Church, modified and simplified the papal funeral rites in 2024. The funeral mass is still expected to be held in St. Peter's Square, but, unlike many predecessors, Francis asked to be buried in Rome's St. Mary Major Basilica to be near his favorite icon of the Madonna. Francis also asked to be buried in a simple wooden casket, unlike predecessors who were buried in 3 interlocking caskets made of cypress, lead and oak. He also asked that his body not be put on display atop a raised platform in St. Peter's Basilica for visitors in Rome to view, as was the case with previous popes. Cardinals from around the world descend on Rome following the death of a pontiff. They hold daily meetings known as general congregations to discuss church matters and lay out the characteristics each believes the new pope should have. Cardinals aged 80 or over can attend the general congregations but are not allowed to enter the conclave to choose the next pope, which is a gathering of cardinals under the age of 80. Much of the discussions take place in personal interactions between the cardinals. Traditionally, a mourning period of 15 days is observed before a conclave can begin. Before he resigned in 2013, Pope Benedict modified the constitution to allow it to begin sooner if the cardinals chose 2 or a maximum of 20 days after the death if some cardinals have difficulty getting into Rome. The conclave is held in Sistine Chapel. Until the 2 conclaves in 1978 that elected John Paul I and John Paul II, the cardinals stayed in makeshift rooms around the Sistine Chapel. Since the 2005 conclave that elected Pope Benedict, they have voted in the Sistine Chapel but stayed in the Santa Marta guest house with about 130 rooms. Santa Marta is sealed off and they are taken by bus to the Sistine Chapel. The word conclave comes from the Latin for with the key. It stems from a tradition that started in the 13th century where cardinals were locked up to force them to decide as quickly as possible and limit outside interference. These days, The participants are prohibited from any communication with the outside world.
What happens inside is that each of the cardinals writes on a slip of paper which says in Latin something along the lines, I choose as Pope so-and-so. They write it down in their own handwriting, and they are encouraged to masquerade their handwriting. Then these votes are counted, and if there are enough, a new Pope has been elected. If there are not enough, they go to another vote.
When the conclave has elected a Pope, he is asked if he accepts and which name he wishes to take. If he declines, the procedure starts again. The new Pope dons white vestments that have been prepared in 3 sizes and sits on a throne in the Sistine Chapel to receive other cardinals who pay homage and pledge obedience. The world will know that a Pope has been elected when an official burns the paper ballots with special chemicals to make white smoke pour out of the chapel's chimney. Black smoke indicates an inconclusive vote. The senior elector amongst the cardinal deacons, currently French Cardinal Dominique Mambati, steps on the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica to announce to the crowds in the square,
Habemus Papam.
"Oh, we have a Pope." The new Pope then appears and gives the crowd his first blessing as pontiff. Mildred Pedun, NTV.